When can treasured memorabilia turn into clutter, capable of disrupting our living spaces and causing anxiety? There's growing recognition among professional organizers that the first step toward decluttering is one we have to take in our heads, coming to grips with why we keep what we keep. Here to tell us more is WSJ reporter Melinda Beck. Melinda, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Tanya.
So our stuff is so much more than just stuff, right?
There are a lot of powerful emotions lurking in those bins and basements. Everything from you don't want your kids to grow up, you don't want to let go of your parents, you don't want to you miss your own childhood, you're convinced you'll fit into those clothes again. Yes. There was your athletic prowess, there's indecision, there's compulsive shopping.
Oh,
Stop me.
So much,
I can
so much.
Keep going.
Because you're making me anxious just hearing about all of that. And of course, that's the problem. We keep all this stuff and it causes us anxiety.
Yes.
We don't have room for it.
It's true. There's not a lot of scientific research on this, but polls routinely show that about 4 out of 5 Americans think they have too much stuff, and for a lot of it, it's a big source of stress. One poll even showed that about half people don't invite friends over because they're so embarrassed about their clutter.
I get it. I think we've all been there at one point or another. Some people fear, though, that they're veering into the land of hoarding, but that's a very extreme and rare condition, correct?
It is extreme, and it now has its own official diagnosis in the latest psychiatric diagnostic manual, but only about 2 to 5% of Americans actually fit that criteria, which means you are holding on to so much stuff of actual trash that it compromises living space.
So if you are struggling with clutter, it's likely you have a certain personality trait or another physiological disorder that's not quite as serious, correct?
Well, not quite as serious, but there's a very long list of
yes.
things.
Yeah, let's go through. You're either, like you said, you're a compulsive shopper, or you have separation anxiety.
Yes, or body image issues. You're covering up. You think you can get back there. You know you probably won't, so you hang on to all these things.
You suffer from perfectionism, perhaps?
Perfectionism. I want to clean my closet, but I don't have time to make it perfect.
Perfect. So procrastination kicks
which
in, which is another one.
Yes, create guilt and anxiety. It's a vicious circle.
And of course, not everyone is lucky enough to have a huge basement where they can store all these relics from their lives. So what are some of the stories we need to recognize we're telling ourselves that maybe we need to let go of so we can declutter?
Yes, psychologists say that a lot of clutter is generated just by sort of an errant error in thinking. One of which is, I will fit into these clothes again, or somebody might need this.
Right.
And that's why some people save 25 empty margarine tubs.
Or this might have some value someday.
Yes,
or
even if technology has long passed it by.
Right, and this has some kind of sentimental meaning that perhaps, like you say in your article, if you throw something away, it doesn't prevent you from thinking about that person that you associate that object with. You can always think about them. You're free to do that. But here's my question. If you have room and you're organized and you have all of your things put away and it doesn't cause you or your family any anxiety, then is there anything wrong with keeping all this stuff?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Go nuts. This is a very subjective area.
Right.
And even though there is pressure out there to have a very clean basement that you can do other things with, if you have space, if it's not causing you distress, if it's meaningful to you, then
So finally, one last question.
Fine.
Is it possible to be too organized, too neat, and too quick to throw things away? Does that exist?
Also very subjective. It can be an issue between couples.
Right.
And I think, unfortunately, everybody has kicked themselves for tossing something, and that then generates even more savings.
So sort of like beauty, clutter is in the eye of the beholder.
You got it, yes.
Thank you so much for that.